and its partners have committed $100 million to a broadband penetration project in Africa called CSquared. The initiative is an extension of Project Link, a similar program introduced in Uganda in 2013 and later in Ghana. The whole idea of the project is to provide access to more efficient broadband infrastructure so as to enable 4G internet access across Africa, including setting up Wi-Fi zones. Graphic Online speaks to Google Ghana Country Manager, Estelle Akofio-Sowa, for her to tell us what CSquared is all about.
I'm Estelle Akofio-Sowa, I'm the country lead, and Samuel is my CTO.
Okay.
So it's all about the speed of light, MC squared. So it's about this, speed of light, so it's the speed of our service. Like Einstein, the team behind the business are brilliant, and it's sort of a fun name. So Google launched Project Link in 2013. And really it was as a result of, we've had the offices across Africa now for about almost 9 years, right? So we've looked at what were the access barriers, what stopped someone coming online. We looked at relevance, so when someone came online, would they find relevant content and products? We looked at sustainability, so that was all our engagement, training, community outreach, building the developer community, etc. But after all of that, we really felt that the biggest challenge that Africa was facing was access. And that the piece that was missing was the infrastructure to move the internet from the coast. For example, in Ghana, we have 5 undersea cables that land. I believe we use about 20% of the capacity that lands. The lack of infrastructure to move it from the landing stations to our towers, to the new estates that are coming up, to large office buildings like this, or any point where a large pipe of internet is needed. And so that was what birthed the idea of Project Link, to be a wholesale infrastructure player. And that's very key for us, the wholesale piece. So we don't serve the end user, and we think there's enough options, suppliers, providers in the markets now that isn't the space that we should play in, but rather in enabling the providers to deliver their service to their customers, which is the end user. So the license that we actually applied for in Uganda and in Ghana is for a wholesale license. So by our license, we are only allowed to serve licensed entities, mobile operators and ISPs, or any other entity that the regulator licenses. So they must be licensed by the regulator. So Uganda was our first market, Ghana was our second, and Liberia is the next market. And it's really a sustainable business. So that's also important for us, is that this isn't a philanthropic venture of Google. This is a business that is set up, and it's a sustainable business based on, sharing of infrastructure, allowing them to improve their quality of service, reducing their costs so that they can focus really on their end user, their customer service, what differentiates them in the market. And then explain a little bit about the other investors that are coming on board. So they're co-investing in CSquared. Answer any questions that you might have. We totally know that what we're doing doesn't solve every issue. And in different parts of a country, you need a different technology. We're focused on high-density urban cities, where dense metro networks is what is needed. There are other things that you will need in different parts. And, the last one, Google has been, you might have heard of Project Loon, the balloons up in the air. So, different technologies, but what Project Link and CSquared are focused on is the high-density urban areas. So why shared infrastructure? And to non-technical people, I like to compare it to a road network. We don't all have our own road to take us to Graphic, right? We share infrastructure, we share electricity, we share water. But with internet, I think because it's more being driven by private entities, the telcos primarily, they've typically been building for their own needs. And in some cases, they've been able to share, But that's also been difficult where you're sharing with a competitor. So again, that's why it's important for us by our license that we're very clear to our customers, we will not be competing with you, we are working with you. When you get a customer, an end user, that means we're getting an order from you. It's a win-win situation. Infrastructure is very CapEx intensive. And I think the days are passing where everyone just had unlimited pots of money to build infrastructure. So again, sharing makes sense. It's also better for the environment. Instead of everyone digging up and so on, it makes sense for you build with a capacity to serve the country's needs. Why do we find this exciting? Because it really, we think for any new, large modern city, you need, it's like this sort of infrastructure is a basic requirement that a modern city needs. And it can enable so many things. You can manage traffic lights remotely, so that you can manage traffic flow. When you talk about security, you can have improved security with cameras around. It's an important thing for everyone. Managing electricity, again, remotely, so that you can manage grids, etc. So it reduces costs of running a city if this infrastructure becomes part of how a government runs the city. So what have we done to date? And so this slide here just gives you a little bit of information about the technology, and Samuel here with me is our CTO, so if you have more questions about that. But it's really been about building a resilient and robust network. So we've invested a lot in the infrastructure and the architecture behind our network that allows us to have the confidence to give the SLAs that we're giving to our customers, who will then pass it on to their end users. So we have it's a mesh network, MPLS network. We have multiple hub sites that give us that redundancy. Each hub site has 3 access points. So if there's a fiber cut on one, we have another 2 routes that we can take. Each of our customers is also on their own dedicated core. So again, they're not sharing with another provider. So all these layers really give us the confidence that we can deliver on the SLAs that we're committed to. Uganda was the first country, and we've done over 900 kilometers in Uganda. They've got over 1,000 sites now that are live in Uganda. For us, a site is, whether it's a tower or a building, wherever we terminate the fiber. And we can build to wherever our customer wants us to go within the metro that we're operating. So we build the core network, then we receive an order from a service provider saying that they've got Graphic as a customer. And so they want to build fiber off our core network into Graphic, and we would do that. Most of the mobile operators and ISPs in Uganda are on our network as well. So this is a CSquared network in Ghana, right? And we're doing Accra, Tema, and Kumasi. And most of what you're seeing here actually today is already built. So in fact, this is the built network. And indeed, Samuel, I believe this 650 is even low now, right? It's what is it now in Accra? Right. So we're constantly building on the network. So you can see how it's dense. I like to, again, with a road network comparison, it's like we're the urban roads, right? We're not the highways, although in some instances we do go along a highway. We are not intercity as well, right? We're not about connecting Accra and Kumasi. Again, we felt that there was enough options doing that. It's an area we're still looking at. And Kumasi is a little smaller, but is also growing in density. So these are some of our customers that we've got on the network today. So, you can see a range of telcos, the LTE, the ISPs as well. And what does it mean? With the network that we're building, if someone has a license, right, they can come into the market and go to market much quicker because the network already exists. So it allows quicker rollout once you've got your license, or expansion if you're an existing provider, as well as improving their core network. So the announcement that we made, we've been doing this. Samuel, when did you start digging in Ghana? In
19 June
2015.
Yes.
was when we started digging. We've been doing a lot of it quietly. We had a small launch event, but really we wanted to build the network and get our customers on board, etc. And so Ghana and Uganda, have proven that they're models that work. And Google's been looking for other partners to come on board that are also committed to building infrastructure on the continent, in some cases are even closer to the continent than Google is, and bring that expertise to the business. And there was Google's done this in multiple instances where Google incubates an idea or a young venture and then allows it to go out, and it actually performs better as an independent entity than continuing to be within the Google company. So we found the ideal partners in the IFC, which is the International Finance Corporation, Mitsui, which is a Japanese investment firm, and Convergence Partners, which is a South Africa-based equity investment partner. They've all been already investing in infrastructure over the years, so it's something they've been doing. They're all very committed to shared infrastructure. So one of the key messages we are wanting to share is that our focus is not changing. It's still about being wholesale and building shared infrastructure. And all of this really is to allow CSquared to be an independent company and operate more efficiently, but with the financial backing to go on and do other markets. And on an earlier slide, you heard me mention Liberia being our next market. That's really interesting for us because there's another component that USAID are funding to really help drive the e-Liberia, the e-governance strategy in Liberia. So we'll be connecting a lot of government sites, but alongside there's additional funding outside of our program to equip these government agencies and give them the capacity, skill set as well to use the internet. I think the demand is so high, we don't need a winner, we just need everyone to push it. So, I think that's what's important. And like one of my slides said, I don't think there's one solution to the problem. And as we're tapping into and trying to address the issues in Accra, Tema, and Kumasi, there's the whole nation is there as well. So there's so much to be done that I think it doesn't. I wouldn't focus on who's winning, but who's doing things that actually have results. Great question and a tough question, right, to answer. And we obviously don't have the regulatory ability to force. And we've just come through a couple years now where anyone running a business, and in particular the technology businesses, we're having to incur higher costs around electricity, etc. I think as customers, we can definitely say we have more choice. There is, and more movement. Now you can move around with your internet service much better. And there has been some improvement in speed, and we're looking for more improvement in the cost aspect. It will come over time. I think we need to be patient, and we need to look at addressing all the challenges that the service providers face and not just this first one. So when you come to us, the first thing we're going to check is, do you have a license? Because we don't want to get in trouble with NCA and we want to stay true to our principles. So do you have a license? And then we'll have a discussion with you about what technology are you going to be using to serve your end users? What areas in Accra, Tema, and Kumasi are you focused on? What type of customer? So is it large enterprises? Is it an estate? Is it the SME market? Who is it that you're targeting? And then once we've understood that and we've agreed on pricing, we've signed our contract, you would simply place orders and you would tell us you want to deliver service to Graphic. That's your first order. I'm giving you that order first because I want to build fiber into Graphic. So you would place that order and Samuel and his team would then build the fiber to the location that you had submitted the order to. Of course, we would have to get right of way, so working with urban roads or whichever relevant road authority for the section of road you want us to build on. And you would have to get us the permission to build within the premises of Graphic, since we are talking hypothetically. And then the service would come on. Yeah, so now I don't know whether to put my Ghanaian hat or my CSquared hat on. So I look forward to more cities in Ghana justifying the investment of a dense metro fiber network. But it is a commercial venture. And so that's the future. When we started off in Uganda, we did Kampala only, and we extended to Entebbe, and we're looking at the next cities to do. In Ghana, we started off with 3 cities from the beginning. But not only expanding into new cities, but even within the cities we are in, looking at what other infrastructure can be shared, what other technologies can we use to expand our reach beyond the base stations and the large enterprises. How can we get fiber right down into the SMEs? So there's lots of layering even within the cities that we're in that we can do. With any merger or change in ownership structure like this, you have to get final approval from the regulators, right? So they're bringing the financial investment, obviously, and then their management capabilities as well, their relationships in the market. They've been operating in Africa for many years, so they also bring additional relations and sort of smart partners. So they're strategic partners as well as financial partners. So, well, I guess the fact that these investors are coming on board and that we're expanding into new markets is testimony to the fact that CSquared Project Link has been a successful venture. And well, none of our customers are here today, but I think if you were to speak to any of our customers as well, I think that they would give a good testimony to the success of the technology that we're building, and the quality of the network that we're building. So, Samuel, it's not an easy task, and it's very operationally intensive. But we've worked very well with Urban Roads, Ghana Highway Authority. One of the challenges, though, is knowing what exists in the ground today. And there's definitely room for improvement around managing that data and information. And then as there's more roadworks going on, better coordination. And we've already seen some meetings that the NCA has been organizing this year already to coordinate that better. And then just really better sharing and managing of that information around the infrastructure that exists so that there's less fiber cuts, which are very expensive to go and fix, and obviously they have an impact on the service quality. Google has the confidence that once you come online, you will find the best product for you, whatever that product is, and that's been a commitment from Google from the beginning. It's really a commitment around bringing people online and getting them to benefit from the internet. So really, we looked at where the product we were rolling out met the needs of particular cities, and also where the regulatory environment enabled us to do this business fairly easily. So Uganda was also chosen as the first market because it wasn't so large. It was our first market. We wanted to test out our capabilities in building the network and so on. And then once we got wind of it, there was no choice. The next country had to be Ghana. So, I think that by building the networks we're building, by enabling the service providers to roll out a good quality of service at lower costs, that then enables them. I think we should be asking our customers, when will they be offering free internet service? Yeah.
And you heard it all. The business community out there, this is a great opportunity to tap into.